Yellowstone warning. If the supervolcano is gearing up to eruption, there's basically nothing we could do. Now, there are those that say that there will be a lot of time of signs before a super eruption. Others say that a super eruption can happen anytime. Yellowstone, as we know, is one of the 21 plus supervolcano of our Earth. It's the biggest volcano in the world, with scientists convinced that it's gearing up to erupt one day in the near future. Now, the volcano is just one example of a handful of the world's supervolcanoes, and we found even more. There's one above New Zealand, and there's another one under La Palmas, Canary Islands, that erupted between Long Valley Caldera last 60,000 years ago, and the last super eruption of Yellowstone 640,000 years ago. The supervolcano of Las Palmas, the Canary Islands, erupted 700,000 years ago. So the three major eruptions in the last 2 million years, 2.1 million years ago, 1.3 million years ago, 640,000 years ago. There's been another lava eruption 70,000 years ago, and 80 eruptions since then. It has the world's 60% of the world's geysers and 10,000 hydrothermal areas. So, as an example, the super eruption that it had 640,000 years ago is estimated to be over 1,000 times bigger than Mount St. Helens eruption of 1980, an event which caused more than $1 billion damage. During Yellowstone's last eruption, the large volume of material caused the ground to collapse, creating the depression that we see now, the caldera, which is about 55 kilometers by 80 kilometers wide. The next eruption, expected to have we're talking about super eruptions here, of course, catastrophic worldwide effects, and was explored during What If short documentary, What If the Yellowstone volcano erupted tomorrow? The narrator said, right now in the US, one of the world's largest volcanoes is gearing up for explosion, for eruption. If Yellowstone decided to erupt, the results would be devastating. This was a hypothetical, of course, scenario in the documentary. It has erupted 3 times, as we said, in the past 2 million years, leading some people to wonder whether we should be worried about another eruption in the near future. But if the eruption took place tomorrow and you lived in North America, there would be virtually nothing you could do to prevent it. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. So in geological and volcanic terms, the near future can mean hundreds of thousands of years, of course. But the documentary went on to look at the potential lava output, noting that Yellowstone would likely produce little in the way of lava flows. It's because before lava becomes lava, it's known as something called magma. Much of Yellowstone's magma would not turn into lava because the intensity of an eruption would force most of it to shoot into the sky, the documentary said. It would then become airborne ash particles, small scorching pieces of jagged rock. This alone would affect more or less the whole of the US and Canada. Tens of millions of people within a 621-mile radius or 1,000-kilometer radius would lose their lives because of this, and the ash, once breathed in, of course, would form a cement-like mixture in your lungs, causing, of course, suffocation. Meanwhile, outside, buildings would collapse from the ash. Just 30 centimeters or 12 inches of ash is enough to cave in roofs. We're talking about roofs in conventional buildings. We're not talking about roofs in very sturdy structures like hospitals, churches, what else? Hospital, churches, schools. Okay, there are certain buildings that are have special constructions. Now, experts suggest that even if you were outside the 620-mile range, you'd still be in trouble. Even on the east coast of the US, around a centimeter of ash would have fallen, an amount still dangerous, of course, to human lungs. Some ash would travel even to Europe, while the rest of the world would experience extreme weather changes. The global temperature would drop by around a huge whopping 10 degrees Celsius, which is a lot, and could last as long as a decade, if not more. The ash would also affect crops, water supplies, of course, almost everything else we rely on. Organizations like NASA have been working on solutions to prevent this type of a devastating event. One possibility has been explored to increase the amount of water in Yellowstone. This would be intended to extract heat day by day, just like they have the geothermal plant they have in Long Valley Caldera. They believe that this would reduce the risk of an eruption, but in practical terms, it's likely impossible to convince politicians to sanction this type of a thing, to drill into the roof of the magma chamber to do this type of a thing, because it could bring about what we're trying to stop. But another plan NASA has hatched upon, drilling a 10-kilometer hole into Yellowstone, pumping water into it at high pressures. This would circulate the water, returning it at an estimated temperature of 350 degrees Celsius or 662 degrees Fahrenheit, and slowly, day by day, extracting heat from the volcano. The estimated cost of such a project would be about $3.46 billion, but would generate electric power at competitive prices. So comes with an enticing catch, which could convince politicians to make this type of an investment. But of course, the geologist in charge of Yellowstone, Michael Pollan, will not let anyone touch Yellowstone supervolcano as long as he's there. Okay, this is by Joel Day of Express UK. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support.